Hey everybody, it's Mike Venus. I'm back. And I feel like this needs to be discussed. This is like the love-hate part of social media, but it needs to be discussed. So, right, let's talk about it. The Dawlass hardware or DAW producer. Now, I have experience in all three, but I'm going to really come from the perspective of a hardware only producer and combating, right, and cutting through the lies of all these hybrid producers that have shit to say about hardware only or DAW. Now, if you out there and you trying to get into music production and you're watching YouTube videos and you're just trying to figure this shit out, I'm gonna make it simple for you. Right? Now, I just watched this guy. I think I seen it was I was an honest comment, but I disagree with what you're saying about the Dawlass setup. Because I said you're a hybrid producer. This means you work in a DAW, in his choice, Ableton Live. And he occasionally might use hardware synths in conjunction with Ableton, but really he has more experience working in Ableton. He just was curious about getting into the Dawlass setup, what they call Dawlass jamming, which we don't jam. We actually make music. Now, the reason why I'm saying this is because just like whenever I was on YouTube looking to try to get some understanding on, okay, what gear would I need to start producing my tracks, my music, because right now I got 500 songs out. Is it 501 songs? Is it 501? 500, yeah. 501 songs out. And the way I was able to do it was through hardware, right? First it was with the hybrid set with the MIDI controller and my phone, but I realized that for me to make that jump and be committed was with the hardware. So that's what I did. Now, let's go through some of the things that the common disputes that you will hear or cons towards working in hardware only. The biggest one is that it's expensive. Any music production that you really gonna take serious is expensive. Let me give you an example. Let's say, okay, you start from like scratch, you don't got nothing, and you got like a budget, right? Now let's say you do the DAW setup. Let's say you go with, we say Ableton, because Ableton right now out of the DAWs with that latest like 11 version that they just released is, if I was looking at a potential DAW to work on, I would go with that because there's more you can do with it than like GarageBand or Logic Pro X or Cubase or Reason. You know, well, with Reason, you able to get, you get like a lifetime subscription. So any new, plugins or sounds they got, you're going to have access to it. So that might be a bonus. But we talking right now in the present. I said go with Ableton. So say you buying the software, right? And you want all the sounds, all the plugins that come with it, everything. That's gonna cost you around, probably with tax, maybe about 800. Now let's say you want to do it with the push controller, which that'll be more like a hybrid set because now you're using a MIDI controller. That's about, with the tags, probably about 800. So that's 1600 right there, right? Cool. But you need a computer to play it on. You know what I'm saying? To be able to do this. Now, you can't just get any computer. You got to get a computer that got enough RAM, enough processing ability. Because, most producers that produce, they either go with the MacBooks or they go with a gaming computer because it's able to process the stuff and they can get more RAM. So let's say you go with that. You just dropped another, whew, you spending about another 15, maybe 16, or maybe two up just on a laptop. That's if you get a laptop. If you get a desktop, you could throw another, that's probably about 2, 3, including the monitors and all that shit. You're going to spend another 5. So let's say hypothetically, that's about 7,000, right? That's not including the audio interface. That's not including the monitors you got to get. That ain't including the cables, surge cord, all that shit. So how is that any cheaper than going Dawlass now, or hardware only? Well, they say Dawlass, but hardware only. This is the Akai Force, right? That's what you see, or kind of get in the picture. It's a big ass thing, but let me touch it so you can see all the force and all its glory. It's beautiful, y'all. It's so beautiful, right? So I got the Akai Force. Like I said, I got this for 8. Correction on the last video, it's going for 1,100, brand new. If you can get it refurbished or whatever, you probably could still. It's probably still a few stores out there still selling for for 1,000. So right there, let's just say now what comes in here. Let's get this straight. If you're working with hardware, you need a synthesizer, right? This is where you get your sounds from. You need a sampler. This is how you're going to be able to take those sounds and put them in the thing. You need a sequencer, and you need a mixer, and you need monitors. Now, inside the Force, it comes with synthesizers, right? These are the plugins. They call them plugins, but they're synths. You got the drum synth, right? And you have hype synth, electric, bassline, tube synth. So you have synthesizers. Hype synth, go with that one, it's the best. And it's a sampler, right? You have the ability to resample from these sounds, right? And it's a sequencer. This is a clip bass, and you have the arranger in here. You can set up your song structure like that. And the mixing in here, you got 4 synths. You have which you could put 4 effects per synth. You have 8 sub mixes, right? And you have pad mix, and you have track mix or channel mixer, right? So mixing is not an issue, and they got effects in here that aid in that process. The same stuff you'll find in a DAW stock plugins. So this is just straight out the box, and you get 10 gigs of samples and some key groups that come with the machine. That's for, we'll say, between 8 to 1,100, just for that, depending on where you buy this, right? Your monitors. Monitors run, it's like roughly, like cheap, like 100 something up. So let's say you get the middle line, that's about 3.5, right? You had what, 1,500, right, with those two. I would strongly suggest that you buy the SSD solid state hard drive and put it in here, because it will help with the speed and everything. I think a terabyte costs about 100. 2 terabytes about between 150, 200. So let's just say hypothetically, I might be way off on the price, but let's just say 200. So you at what, 1500, 1500, 1700, right? And you might want to buy some headphones, which you can get these for about like maybe about 150, some decent ones. Yeah, they about 150, 200, right? And then what else would you need? That's about it. That's that's about $2,000. So how's that expensive? Now, when this guy did his video, or when I see these people who are hybrid based producers do their Dawlass setups, they got like they'll probably have they'll have something like an MPC with another MPC with another thing, three, four big ass synthesizers, all these wires everywhere. Why are they doing that? Because they're trying to emulate a DAW. They're in the now. Hybrid producers are in they in DAW to now. Because if they really was to be honest, um, the DAW is great if you one of those type of producers that use a lot of tracks, that does big production. Like if you're doing some cinematics type stuff, like you know, or orchestral type stuff where you need like a whole orchestra of sounds, and you need that, a DAW would be perfect. This I would not. I wouldn't even lead you down that path. It would make sense to use a DAW or DAW. But if you're making something like some basic stuff like hip hop, house, electric music, hell, regular music like a band, this is perfect, perfect. And I forgot that this has it has a what was it, 48 phantom power in it, so you can connect a condenser mic straight to it and record vocals straight in. So this is Dawlass, right? But this is cheap. Like I said, what you gonna spend about two, maybe 3,000 at the most, depending on your mic and whatever. You can buy bundles of like mid level stuff until you build your stuff up, where you can purchase maybe better monitors or a better microphone. But just starting out the rip, to pay almost what, 2,000 for that, that's not bad. Now where the computer might come in is where you upload them, but we ain't talking about that. We just talking about production, right? And also, I didn't like the term that they throw out about jamming. I don't jam when I do this. I make tracks. I make music. I make songs. And those songs become a playlist, and then the playlist become an album. And then the album goes up on my Spotify and through all the different streaming services and even SoundCloud. You understand? You know what I'm saying? But no, it don't cost that much to work straight hardware. You know, hell, even if I had the live setup, let's say, okay, you buy the live. I usually use my Launchpad with it, right? Launchpad 350. This was 12. That's 1550. Buy a hard drive. We'll say that's about two. So 1750, right? The monitors, we say about 350. So we already at two. I'm good. There we go. Same thing that I just mentioned. The only thing different is that if you're gonna record vocals into the live, you would need an audio interface, and they're not expensive. They run starting around maybe about two and up. So you still underneath anything that this image that they paint about having a computer or a DAW setup or a hybrid setup where you're just working with the DAW and a MIDI controller like Ableton. You still paying for more stuff, even though you assume you're not. But to them, they feel like they spend more money, and the reason is because they bring that mindset that they had when they're in a DAW, which give you so many options and so many things that you can create and do that if you were to try to replicate it in using straight hardware, you'll go broke. And that's where they make the fatal mistake. You know, even if you look at the producers like back in the day, their setup was mad simple. I'm watching a channel called Vintage Sampler, and on there he showed like very prominent producers and what type of gear they use. Like most of them still using the same gear that they used when they made their classic albums back in like the 90s and the 80s and stuff. Kanye still used the same gear. He's not he's a hardware only producer. Come on, man. He still work on the MPC. Was it ARS-10 or whatever it's called? Yeah, he got a keyboard and a record player, and he has a sampler, and that's how he make his tracks. Don't hurt yourself, man. Cause in the long run, if you really think about it, if you take good care of your stuff, right? These guys are working on pieces of gear that is as old as most of us, or as equally old. You know what I'm saying? And they still able to produce good tracks. So don't, if you curious about working with hardware only, subscribe. Cause that's how I work. That's where the perception I'm coming from. That's how I'm gonna be teaching. Can you apply whatever I'm teaching in a dog? Hell yeah. You can subscribe too. If you're a hybrid producer and you feel like, okay, this dude, he just wants some smoke, right? Which I don't want no smoke with anybody, but I'm just saying, like, speak for yourself. If you up there want to create the fucking Willy Wonka chocolate factory of synthesizers and guitar pedals and all that shit on in your room, be my guest. Good for you. But if you just want to start making some music, this is how it goes. And before I leave, let me demonstrate, right? So let me pull up some drums real quick. Just make something real quick. I made all those sounds. All right, and let's pull up key group. Let's use a key group that I made. This look like it'd be cool. Oh yeah. All right, so let's lay down something real quick. Hey, hey, this is Mike Venus. Subscribe. Follow me at Mike Venus on Spotify. On Instagram, Mike_Venus1. On Twitter, at Mikey Venus 2020. On SoundCloud, Mike Venus. You know, y'all have a great day. I'm out. Hey. Oh, and please leave a comment if you like the sounds. Your man's made it. Be blessed. Mike out.